Good morning. Hi, this is JP Collins from Book of Hours, and it's Saturday morning, April 6th. Yeah, and it's a beautiful, warm morning here in San Francisco. Today, I wanted to talk to you about tending your garden and about the healthcare debate and issues going on. What inspired this talk this morning is this podcast, whatever you want to call it. I hate to call it a lecture because it's not really that. We're talking together, bringing up some issues, talking about things. But what really inspired this is my own garden and the poor quality that it's in these days. And I'm not sure if you can see this exactly. I think what I'm going to do is come back around. And there you go, so I can see what you're seeing. My roses are in a state. And what's happened is that we went from a lot of rain. See, some things are looking great. Okay, some things in the garden are looking great. I just need to do some weeding and things like that. But these guys are on the shady side of my very tiny little patio garden. And up here we have a walnut tree, and I'll get to that in a second. That's my water basin. I recycle water in that. Okay, so I'm going to bring this around to me. There's a couple reasons going on with my garden and why it's the state it's in. And that is that we've gone from a lot of rain to some pretty intense warm weather all at once. And that doesn't make for good gardening, because what happens is the things that are on the sunny side, on the south side, get dried out really fast, and I don't have a watering system set up. I used to. I'm going to make an adjustment here so you can see me better. There we go. I don't know why I have this table up between you and me, but it's there, and I set it up that way, so it's my fault. I used to have a watering system set up, and the building here that I live in, the apartment building, was painted, and so I had to take everything apart, move my garden, move everything out. This was a couple of years ago, and then the drought got really, really bad, so I stopped using the watering system altogether and hand watered and used the basin that I showed you there, where I basically recycled dishwater and things I wash my lettuce and stuff into, and that's an elaborate thing that I'm just not going to go into because I live on the second floor. So how do you get the water down? Well, ingenuity, my friends. But anyway, so I wanted to talk to you about. So what inspired is the poor state of my roses and my garden. It needs some weeding. And as I mentioned before, there's a walnut tree up here, and it has just foliated. It's beautiful. I love this tree. It's about 80, 90 years old. It's about as old as some of the buildings around here, and it spans across several yards in the back. My yard is nothing. It's 10 feet deep, but there's other yards in here. And with it though is it just bloomed. And all the little pod things, the flower things, they're down here. They look like that, and these are like little flowers, and they did all their dispersing of pollen, and so now they litter the floor of my patio garden. And so I've got to do some sweeping up now too. So lots of cleanup, lots of weeding, and lots of watering and TLC, because I need to bring these roses back. Unfortunately, they started blooming and they dried out, and there's a couple of reasons for that. So one I told you was the switch in our weather, and that's par for the course in San Francisco. I can't blame that on global warming or global weirding or whatever you want to call it. But I can blame it on the fickleness of San Francisco weather. The other thing is I mentioned the walnut tree, and the walnut tree unfortunately harbors some newly arrived guests. About 10 years ago, we received a shipment of not really a shipment, but we received a gift from Australia, and I'm not blaming Australia because I have a feeling that they received that same package from somebody else in the past, of a little critter called the brown, what is it, the brown spotted apple moth, the light brown spotted apple moth, or something like that. And it's raised all kinds of hell in California, including my roses, least of which my roses. It's gone after the Christmas tree crop. It's gone after other, like food, more important crops, as well as what else? Well, I was walking Cubby earlier, and I noticed there was there's a plum tree up the street. We have our streets are lined with plum and cherry trees, and they bloom in the springtime. They're gorgeous. But I noticed that it has foliated, and a lot of its leaves are chewed up in the same manner that they chew up the roses. And so the reason I bring the light brown spotted apple moth up, and the reason I bring you guys down into my garden. By the way, you can see me in action tending to my roses in another podcast segment on YouTube called Roses. So go have a look at that. It's about trimming back your roses for the wintertime. So this is spring. It's the other time. This is in 6 months. You should look at that. But you can look at it now if you want. The reason I bring all these things up, and I'm rambling because I've had coffee and no food, is the healthcare system that's going on, that we've been dealing with lately in the United States is basically decimated, like my roses are, and I look at what's going on is pretty much the fault of Congress and the president, so our government. They are basically the pest that's known as the light brown spotted apple moth, basically sucking the life out of our healthcare system. We, on the other hand, are the gardeners who have been, basically not tending to things, okay? We let, as Julie likes to say, Mr. Hopi Changey come in and promise us the moon. He promised us single-payer, universal health care, along the lines of what all the other, dare I say first world, but I'll say, modern, industrialized, post-industrialized countries of the world have. So the countries in Europe, Australia. Speaking of Australia, Donald Trump the other day was praising the wonderfulness of the Australian healthcare system, while just basically letting Congress do what they want to with us from behind. And yeah, I don't get that, man. Anyway, Canada. Anywhere else that basically cares about its people and not about its own profit. So we're just as responsible for the situation we're in as anything. Congress. We've got these right-wing assholes who are just basically saying, we hate Obamacare because, well, basically Obama sold it, and it didn't go far enough. So now they're going to put in some provisions, at least the House. Okay, let me get into that in a minute. But there's some provisions in the House version that basically say that rape is a precondition. Okay, so you interpret that how you will. Julie said, they're basically making it impossible for women to have abortions and use their insurance to do it. I said that it would basically blame the victim and keep them from being treated. So probably both those things. And that's just one example. But my next point, I guess, is that, everybody's been freaking out. Okay, so the gardeners out there, the people who, voted in Mr. Hopi Changey, Mr. Obama, are basically freaking out. And going back to Julie's point the other day in her podcast, I think from Thursday, that he brought in a piece of shit from the Heritage Foundation, dusted it off, tied a couple bows and ribbons on it, and called it Obamacare, and sold it to us and said, you're going to like this. It's really awesome. And it's not what I promised you, but it's all I can do because, blue dog Democrats and because the Republicans and because whatever the fuck else he was saying. He had he had the votes in Congress and he had the support of his followers. And he basically bent us over, and you know what? So everybody's screaming and hollering over the loss of Obamacare, which is basically a piece of shit, wrapped in a bow. And now that the Republicans are having their way with it and changing it around the way they like it, I got an email the other day that was just remarkable. It was there was a flashing text in it, and they actually said they're panicking. Okay, so this is a what was it called? Progressives for Change or some bullshit name like that, and it's like it was anything but progressive. And it had sources' fingerprints on it. It was reactive and scare tactics and all this crap, trying to get liberals to respond and send money, which is not going to do anything to support the cause. And if anything, it's going to maintain the status quo, because they're calling for the maintenance of and the keeping Obamacare intact. So instead of saying we need single payer, instead of saying we need to protect our people from these poor healthcare initiatives and laws, insurance issues, they're supporting the insurance companies through Obamacare. They're supporting whatever else is out there. That's the pharmaceuticals companies, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Instead of the doctors and nurses, instead of the people who, need the care. And she mentioned, Julie mentioned the other day that, I've got a piece of shit Obamacare thing out there too, because I'm a contractor, and so I go from job to job, and if I take the insurance from the company that I'm working for, that ends when the job ends, and so I need something more consistent than that. And she was going on about Kaiser. I don't have as bad of I've had Kaiser in the past, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't as bad as she said it was, but all the same, it's an expensive thing for what you get. Okay, so my next point. Everybody's freaking out about the loss of Obamacare, and everybody's freaking out about what the Republicans are doing in the House of Representatives. Okay, now I mentioned that the House of Representatives, that's their health care bill or proposal or whatever they're calling it. And now, in case you didn't know this, we're a bicameral government. It goes to the Senate. Okay, now the Senate has come out and said, thank you very much for your whatever it is. We're going to write our own, because there's a rivalry between the two houses, and the senators are, they're the elites of the elites, and they're going to write their own thing. Okay, so stop freaking out for now, because we still have to see what they're going to do. Okay, they're not going to vote on this thing. They're going to write their own. Okay, that said, it's going to be a piece of shit as well. You know that. I know that. So what I want to point your attention to is the fact that Congress, they have the shady side of the garden. Okay, so their garden looks good. Things are growing, they're thriving, and their health care that they get is what we need to have ourselves. It's great, they're taken care of. It's not too expensive for them. They get what they need. It's similar to it's a step up or two steps up from what federal government employees. My ex-wife was is a federal government employee, and she had pretty decent insurance, and I benefited from that for a while. It wasn't bad. It wasn't too expensive. You got decent care, and Congress has something even better. Okay, so what I want you to do, and what I plan to do is, I don't know, take some action. Okay, so liberals, are you listening to me? Because I know you're out there, and what I want you to do, the anarchists, you can do whatever. Yeah, I don't care. I know you agitators are out there. But what I'd like you to do is this. I'd like you to call your senator and call your your representative in the House and say, we want what you have. Now repeat that with me. We want what you have as far as health insurance goes. We want single payer. We want the government to pay for it. And we want good quality health insurance. We want to be taken care of. We do not want to be thrown to the curb with your bullshit healthcare plan that props up the insurance companies and does not support the people that it's supposed to be supporting. You know, our taxes are not that much higher, or not that much lower. In fact, they're probably higher than a lot of countries in Europe, and yet we get nothing for it. And you know why that is, don't you? It's because we spend more on military, probably 3 times, 4 times more in our military than anyone else in the world. Okay, so it's the budget is basically going to support the military and the you know, Eisenhower's word, the military industrial complex. Okay, so, you know, and Donald, he, you know, Mr. Tiny Hands wants to put even more money into hardware. Okay, military hardware. He's not, you know, he's like, oh, you know, we want to support our military. He's not talking about supporting the troops and paying them more money. He doesn't want to pay soldiers more money. You know, they make shit wages as it is. I mean, the people at the bottom, you know, not the brass at the top, but the people at the bottom make shit wages. And they live in substandard, in some cases, substandard housing on base. I've been in the quarters for an officer, and, you know, they're nice, you know, middle-class digs, but the people who, you know, are the, you know, the privates and or whatever, they don't call them privates anymore, they call them specialists. There's a good word. They live in crappy apartments. So Tiny Hands isn't talking about, you know, supporting those people and paying them more money. He's talking about buying hardware. So what you need to do is you need to call your Congress people, your senators, and your House of your representatives in the House, your House of Representatives, and tell them, we want what you have. And I want you to do this, and I'm going to include, you know, I'm going to start a hashtag, what the fuck, you know, hashtag we want what you got, or hashtag we want what you have. And that's what I want you to do. That's your assignment for next week. It's Saturday, so I want you to relax, and I want you to think about this. And then I want you to do some research and find out who your senator is actually, and who your representative is, and how to contact them. And, you know, you can email them if you want, but I want you to make a phone call, because that's what's going to do it, okay? So make a phone call. Tell your friends to do that as well. We want what you have as far as insurance goes. What they're giving us is a pile of shit without the bows and ribbons that Obama tied on it. Okay, at least the Republicans are honest. They said, yeah, fuck yeah, we want to screw you over. Actually, they're not being honest. They're saying this will be good for the American people. Well, it's not going to be good for the American people. Obama, you know, he was even less forthright. He just lied outright and put, you know, the ribbons and bows. So I'm going to attend to my roses now, because they need some TLC. And I think that's what we need as American people. As the American people, we need some TLC from our Congress, but we need to tell them what we want. Okay, so next week, call your Congress critter, call your senator, tell them what you want. Okay, now there's some of us here in California, what we really want is we want Senator Dianne Feinstein to resign. Okay, so you can tell her that too. I have a friend out there, Mr. Lance Smith, who actually has been doing that, and he's been bugging the shit out of them. He'd actually talked to her staff, and he basically told him that he wants her to resign. So if you're in California, call her up. She's in California. She's in San Francisco. Her office is in San Francisco. Look it up. I don't have the number ready. But anyway, that was just a side thought. So go tend to your garden, or I'm going to go tend my garden. You tend to your garden. And you get ready to start calling your senators and your representatives and tell them, we want what you have. All right, thank you. Have a great weekend, everybody. And remember, trolls will be ignored. Bye-bye.